Over the weekend, President Donald Trump called for Vice President Kamala Harris to be prosecuted, falsely claiming yet again that Harris paid for endorsements from celebrities during her 2024 presidential campaign. In a rant posted on social media, Trump claimed that Beyonce received $11 million, that Oprah got $3 million, and that the Reverend Al Sharpton took home $600,000 to endorse the then vice president. Trump added that they, quote, broke the law. They should all be prosecuted. Trump made similar claims about the vice president earlier this year and late last year. The Harris campaign has consistently denied paying for endorsements. Federal election records show that the Harris campaign did pay Beyonce's production company $165,000 in reimbursements, which is common with large event productions. Oprah has said she was not paid to appear alongside Harris at a live-streamed event in Michigan back in September 2024. Records show production fees of roughly $1 million were covered by the campaign, while Sharpton's National Action Network was paid $500,000 for Get Out the Vote initiatives. Last year, a spokesperson for the Harris campaign explained to Deadline that it was required by campaign finance laws to cover costs associating with holding such events. Joining us now, the president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Rev, good to see you. We have a couple questions for you on this, but let's just start simply with the accusation that President Trump has leveled at you. Were you paid for an endorsement?
Well, absolutely not. And as the FEC filings say, they helped the campaign, gave funds for Get Out the Vote campaigns for National Action Network, of which I'm a part of, and other civil rights groups, some which got more than National Action Network did. National Action Network, nor I, even endorsed her. What is interesting about this, though, is that the fact that this is the, as you accurately reported, second or third time, lawyers for National Action Network was looking at, can we sue him for defamation? Because he had knowledge this time that there was no endorsement and that I didn't get any money. This went to the nonprofit that I'm connected to. But let's look at the larger picture here. Donald Trump is in very serious problems around this whole question of Epstein. So last week, he was trying to flood the zone to take any pressure off of him and try to put his MAGA base back together again. The fact is, he started by saying he's going to fire the Fed chief. That didn't work. Then he went on to something about tariffs. That didn't work. Then he decided to do what he started his political career on, start race baiting. Which was, he started with birtherism, that Obama wasn't born here. Then he went and released the files now last week of Martin Luther King Jr., some of which are very questionable, and the family was opposed to him doing it. That didn't work. The next day he goes after Barack Obama, saying he ought to be prosecuted. That didn't work. Then he tried something else. Then over the weekend, Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey, Beyonce, Al Sharpton. The race card, the thread here is race, and that's what he's trying to do. They're swapping money. They're doing things like Obama was holding back with Russia. It's all about trying to get past Epstein. We have shown in National Action Network and other groups what we did and didn't do in the campaign. Even when I spoke at the convention, I said we don't endorse candidates. We have come with our files. Release the Epstein files, Mr. Trump. Do what we did, or be quiet.
Yeah, you're certainly right. The four names in that post, the vice president, Oprah, Beyonce, yourself, very clear what they have in common. John Hyman, let's bring you in on this too. Just this idea, this seems to be, to Rev's point, Trump playing the greatest hits, falling back on some of his, lesser impulses, perhaps, playing with birtherism and the like, but also just shows there's still this frantic nature of trying to throw things against the wall to distract from an Epstein story that's simply not going away.
Right. It's the last part of that that matters, Jonathan, I think, which is, I understand why they're frantic, because he's thrown a lot of stuff against the wall, and none of it has done what it normally has done for him, which is to move people along, get people distracted. And usually, the people who are very most easily distracted are those in his base. He's been able to count on that. You think about the range now of what the distractions have been. You've got on one hand, all due respect to Rev, but it's like, on one hand, you're like, hey, those guys, Kamala Harris, who I beat, right, who's no longer a political threat to me whatsoever, who I beat in the election, fair and square, paid endorsers. Who cares? Right. On the other end of the scale, Barack Obama has committed treason and should, by according to the law, if you're guilty of treason, should be put to death. No one cares about that either, because it's kind of self-evident that all of these things are what we've just said. They're all distractions. And the one persistent reality is that the Jeffrey Epstein thing is not going away, because for the first time, Donald Trump is faced with a controversy where he is at odds with the people who have supported him, believed in him, trusted him the most. And they are looking at him going, wait a minute, you're full of crap. You're not making good on this promise, and we're starting to have some questions about it. And that's why it's not going away. I know you're going to talk about probably the Mike Johnson thing, but boy, 80% of the discussion over the weekend on broadcast and cable television was on Epstein, not on any of the rest of these matters.
Yeah, and all his efforts to distract, including playing the race card, not working.
Hotep, everybody. It is Wednesday, July 30th, 2025, and welcome to a special edition of the African History Network show. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. So I want to discuss a topic that we talked about a little bit on our Sunday night show from Sunday, July 27th, but I didn't have a chance to get deep into it the way I wanted to. Donald Trump over the weekend called for the prosecution of Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, Reverend Al Sharpton, Kamala Harris, and Barack Obama. Okay. And this was a post on Truth Social, that should be called Lying Social, from July 26, 2025. Now, this is in an attempt to deflect from the fallout over the Epstein files that won't go away. And Donald Trump said that he claimed in a social media post that Beyonce broke the law by supposedly getting paid $11 million for her endorsement of Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris during an October 2024 event in Houston, Texas. But there is simply no basis for Trump's claim that Beyonce received an $11 million payment related to the Harris campaign, let alone for an endorsement. Okay. Also, paying for an endorsement is not illegal. So I'm going to go to this clip here from MSNBC in just a minute. But if we look at, there was a good article from CNN from July 27th, 2025. This fact check from CNN. We're going to go to it. Then I want to go to this clip from Morning Joe that breaks this down, because Reverend Al Sharpton responded to these ridiculous accusations. Okay, so if you look at this piece here from CNN, fact check, Trump calls to prosecute Beyonce based on a non-existent $11 million payment. Based on a non-existent $11 million payment. This is from July 27, 2025, from Daniel Day. Okay, so he made these claims on Saturday, July 26, 2025. This dates back to October 2024. Now, federal campaign spending records show a $165,000 payment from the Harris campaign to Beyonce's production company, which the campaign listed as a campaign event production expense. Now, a Harris campaign spokesperson told Deadline.com last year in 2024 that they didn't pay celebrity endorsers, but were required by law to cover the costs connected to their appearances. Regardless of the merits of this particular $165,000 expenditure, it's far from $11 million. So nobody has ever produced any evidence. Nobody has ever produced any evidence for the claim of an 8-figure endorsement payment to Beyonce since the claim that it was $10 million began spreading in 2024 among Trump supporters on social media. Fact-check websites, factcheck.org and PolitiFact looked into the $10 million payment claim during the campaign and did not find any basis for it. So it's just some made up nonsense. And Donald Trump is recirculating this because the Jeffrey Epstein scandal won't go away and he's scared to death. Okay. That's basically what it boils down to. All right. Let's look at this ridiculous post from Truth Social. So on Saturday, July 26, 2025, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, which should be called Lying Social, his knockoff Twitter platform. He posted, "I'm looking at the large amount of money owed by the Democrats after the presidential election, and the fact that they admit to paying, probably illegally, $11 million to singer Beyonce for an endorsement. She never sang, not one note, and left the stage to a booing and angry audience." The audience was not booing and was not angry with Beyonce. He's just lying. He's just projecting because he can't get away from the Jeffrey Epstein debacle and the rising calls for the Jeffrey Epstein files to be released. And no matter what he does, this story's not going away, and he's scared. Okay, he's scared. And what happens is whenever Donald Trump is in deep trouble, okay, and we've seen this time and time again. Whenever Donald Trump is in deep trouble, he always lashes out at the blacks. This is what happens. And this past weekend, he lashed out at President Barack Obama, Beyonce, Oprah, Reverend Al Sharpton, and called for their prosecution. Okay. All right. And as well as Kamala Harris, as well as former Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's go back to this. Okay, he said $3 million for expenses to Oprah, $600,000 to very low rated TV anchor Al Sharpton, a total lightweight, and others to be named for doing absolutely nothing. These ridiculous fees were incorrectly stated in the books and records. Now, this is a guy who, Donald Trump is somebody who was found guilty of fraud, 34 counts of fraud when it came to falsifying business records. And he's pointing the finger at somebody else for falsifying business records, but his allegations are totally false. Now, this is the guy that's supposed to be running the country. He's on social media more than most people. He said these ridiculous fees were incorrectly stated in the books and records. He said you are not allowed to pay for endorsements, okay, which is false. It is totally illegal to do so. That's false. You can legally pay for endorsements. Can you imagine what would happen if politicians started paying for people to endorse them? All hell would break out. He said Kamala and all of those that received endorsement money, quote unquote, broke the law. Okay. They should all be prosecuted. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. So this is just totally unfounded, and it's not illegal to pay for endorsements. So Reverend Al Sharpton responded to this nonsense on Morning Joe, MSNBC, Monday, July 28th, 2025. Now I want to go to this. I want to go to this next clip here. This is from MSNBC also. Let me see. Let's cue this up here. This is from July 23rd. This gets into Donald Trump. Okay, this gets into Donald Trump saying that Barack Obama committed treason, because we have a continuation of this. And we talked about this some Sunday night show, and Tulsi Gabbard, his director of national intelligence, or lack of intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard claiming that there's new evidence that President Obama and those in the Obama administration committed treason when it came to the Russia influence in the 2016 or nonsense. Let me show you this piece here from CNN right quick. It's just widely misleading. It's just widely misleading why the administration's latest allegations about the Russia investigation don't add up. Okay. And many people are suspecting that Tulsi Gabbard is trying to get back into the good graces of Donald Trump. But this is just more nonsense coming from this administration. Okay. It's just widely misleading why the administration's latest allegations about the Russia investigation don't add up. All right. So this is CNN.com. This is from July 22nd, 2025 by Jeremy Herb and Katie Bo Lillis. All right. So Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard declassified and released, quote unquote, new intelligence documents Friday that she claimed were evidence of a treasonous conspiracy by top Obama administration officials to manufacture the notion that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election. Okay. Now, keep in mind, you want to talk about treason. Donald Trump is the one who incited an insurrection, January 6, 2021, to overthrow the government. That was Donald Trump. But the allegations conflate and misrepresent what the intelligence community actually concluded. According to a review of a GOP-led Senate investigation from the year 2020 and interviews with congressional sources familiar with the probe. Now, for those that forgot, Donald Trump was president in the year 2020. Okay? Just like Donald Trump, I posted on my Facebook page a couple of days ago, you know, Donald Trump is calling the whole fiasco around Jeffrey Epstein and the interest in releasing the files. He's calling that the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. He's calling all this a con job. But it was your Department of Justice in 2019 that indicted Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump was president in 2019. That was his Department of Justice that indicted Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein died in federal custody on August 10th, 2019. Donald Trump was president. A couple weeks ago, when Donald Trump was in the Oval Office with the president of Bahrain, Donald Trump said that Jeffrey Epstein died 3 or 4 years ago. No, he died 6 years ago, and you were president when he died. Donald Trump's Department of Justice indicted Ghislaine Maxwell on July 2nd, 2020. That was Trump's Department of Justice that did that. So you saying all that was a hoax? You saying all that was a con job? He's in deep trouble. And he doesn't know what to do. All right, let me go back to this piece here from CNN. And also on the Department of Justice website, justice.gov. They have, I was looking at it a couple of days ago, they have the press release from the Department of Justice announcing the indictment of Ghislaine Maxwell on federal charges. Okay, so the newly unsealed documents do nothing to undercut the government's core findings in its 2017 assessment that Russia launched an influence and hacking campaign and sought to help Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton, the sources said. The new allegations from Tulsi Gabbard lean on assessments before the election and statements from Obama-era intelligence officials, finding that the Russians did not alter the election results through cyber attacks aimed at infiltrating voting systems. But the January 2017 intelligence community assessment never concluded that Russian cyber attacks altered the outcome of the 2016 election or compromised any election infrastructure in the first place, though state voting systems were probed. Instead, the assessment focused on Russia's influence campaign ordered by President Vladimir Putin and cyber operations against U.S. and Democratic Party officials, including the hacked emails released by WikiLeaks. Remember Donald Trump on the campaign trail saying, "I love WikiLeaks"? He mentioned WikiLeaks over 100 times on the campaign trail in 2016. Quote, these are two different things. Cyber attacks on infrastructure and hacking the DNC, which they're conflating in an attempt to make it a political point, said a former senior congressional source familiar with the Senate review. It's just widely misleading on its face, quote unquote. It's just widely misleading on its face. We also know that bipartisan Senate intelligence report, Senator Marco Rubio, who is now the Secretary of State, he signed off on that, and he signed off on the conclusions. Okay, so all of this is just some made-up nonsense. All of this is just some made-up nonsense coming from the Trump administration once again. In 2020, a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee review agreed with the intelligence community's conclusions on Russia's election interference and Putin's role directing the effort. Multiple congressional sources familiar with the Senate report said that Tulsi Gabbard is trying to lean on intelligence assessments that no voting systems were breached to falsely make a broader leap that a Russian influence and cyber campaign did not occur. The Senate review included interviews with the intelligence analysts who drafted the report, none of whom reported any political interference, the congressional sources said. Okay. All right. So read the rest of this piece here from CNN that gets deep into it. This is just more nonsense. All right. I want to go to this other clip here from MSNBC that deals with Trump. Trump is still jealous of Obama's popularity as he lashes out amid Epstein fallout. Okay, and this is from MSNBC. This is from July 23rd, 2025. Let's go to this clip here. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. How's everybody doing? Welcome to a special edition to the African History Network show, special edition of the African History Network show. I'm also going to let you know about my new online history class that starts up this Saturday, August 2nd. African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. And this is a topic here dealing with Trump attacking Obama, Beyonce, Kamala Harris, Sharpton, that I did not get a chance to get into like I wanted to this past Sunday on the African History Network show, because we did 3 hours and I had a lot to get to. All right, let's go to this clip.
I want to bring in Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent for the New York Times and MSNBC political analyst. Chuck Rosenberg is former U.S. attorney former senior FBI official and an MSNBC legal analyst. With me here in studio, former Washington Post national columnist Philip Bump, and Michael Hardaway is former communications director and spokesman for House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, let's start with the law, Chuck. Gabbard says the information she's put out amounts to, and these are her words, new evidence of the most egregious weaponization and politicization of intelligence in American history. Is that what you see?
Well, good for her, Chris. I mean, waving a document in front of a television camera doesn't make it authentic or valid or truthful or accurate. And this may sound incredibly quaint, but if you actually want to charge someone with a crime, try them and convict them, you need this pesky little thing called evidence. And evidence under the federal rules would have to be reliable, relevant, and admissible. So my way of thinking, a House committee report, whether authored by Democrats or Republicans, don't meet any of those standards, and I would discount it entirely.
So, Philip, this is something the president has been promising for years, that pesky thing called evidence. And I want to play some of what we've heard over the years. Take a listen.
The concept of Russia with respect to us is a total phony story.
Meaning the Trump campaign?
Of course it's a total phony story. We have to find out what happened. I'd love to find out what happened.
But you don't think it's
I can tell you one thing. It had nothing to do with us.
Looks like a very serious event, but we'll find out. When they look at the documents, I think people are going to see a lot of bad things happen.
There's tremendous evidence right now as to how unfairly treated I was. President Obama and Biden spied on my campaign. It's never happened in history. They are trying to steal the election, just like they did it last time with spying, and we caught them, and that included President Obama.
Again, none of the investigations ever showed anything that would support anything he just said there. So why, after all these years, after all these investigations, are we back at the same point with the president promising something that he has never been able to deliver?
I'd say there's three reasons. The first is that his base has been inculcated in this idea that Barack Obama is just the worst political actor there's ever been, stoked by Donald Trump, and are eager to see vengeance enacted upon Obama and his allies. The second reason is that Trump himself feels very slighted by this. He's been angry about this for a long time. You know, the 2016 election, he got mad about Russia. 2020 election, he got mad about the fact that he lost. He, as president now, he's trying to use his power to try and get back at everyone who he thinks caused those things. But the third reason is Jeffrey Epstein, right? The reason this is happening now is always going to happen. Like, let's be clear. You saw it right there. He's very mad about this, so this is going to happen. The reason it's happening now is because he wants people not to pay attention to Jeffrey Epstein. He said so explicitly, both yesterday at the White House and speaking to legislators.
Peter, you've covered both President Trump and President Obama. As the statement from the Obama office noted, they typically don't respond to what they call constant nonsense coming from the White House, but they did this time. Why this? Why this time?
Well, I think the attack on Obama is so over the top. You know, his not only using words like treason, not only, you know, suggesting there was a crime there, but even posting this video, this AI video showing Obama being forced to his knees and handcuffed in the Oval Office and taken off to prison. We've never seen any president do this kind of thing. And it's just, I think for Obama, either A, it's personally offensive in the way he finally says, I'm going to say something, or B, he wanted to make sure that nobody in the public confused this this level of spin being put out as anything being truthful. So he wanted to make sure the record didn't stand uncontested. You know, again, and to Philip's point, I mean, go after Obama in part because Obama still remains, according to polls, the most popular politician in the country. Trump is still jealous of Obama. He still has tried to match up to Obama's stature in the country, never has been able to, never come anywhere near Obama's popularity in polls, never come anywhere near Obama in terms of, you know, success in the, you know, in the popular vote. And he wants to tear him down, and he wants to find enemies. He loves an enemy, and he wants to find, you know, another enemy. And right now, the Democrats don't have a leader. And so going after Obama is one way of going after the Democrats.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing. When historians are asked about best and worst presidents, Donald Trump has never come anywhere near Barack Obama. Michael, the Democratic California Congressman Pete Aguilar told NBC News, reflecting what we just heard, quote, they'll release anything if it buys them another day or two not to talk about Epstein or get the angry mob to talk about Epstein. But if Democrats respond to it, as Pete and many others have. If the former president of the United States responds to it, does it just give it more oxygen and provide more of a distraction?
Yes, but there's a way to do this properly. What Democrats should do is they can respond to it and then pivot to the fact that Donald Trump is overseeing a horrific economy, skyrocketing prices, 17 million people about to lose health care. Every other cost is rising, and Donald Trump is talking about the former president, whom he's been jealous of for at least 10 years, when, if you remember, Barack Obama roasted him during the dinner, and he's been jealous of him since. The truth is that Barack is smarter, he's cooler, he's better looking, and he's much more beloved than Donald Trump, and that really makes him jealous.
Well, Philip, even if the president wants to distract from Jeffrey Epstein, does it cause even more problems just to go after Obama? And according to Axios, quote, MAGA's expectations are stratospheric. Failure to land anyone behind bars could be seen as a betrayal, a break from the promises made, promises kept mantra that has defined Trump's relationship with his base. So his base is already, frankly, really ticked off about the whole Epstein thing. So how does shifting to Obama help that? It's not like he's going to get a conviction and land him up behind bars. What does he get out of it besides maybe one news cycle?
Yeah, I mean, it gets to the personal satisfaction, which we've been talking about. But, I mean, it really does play into this idea that he has presented to his base that he is one of them fighting against the elites. And the challenge of the Epstein thing for him is it's hard for him to dissociate himself from the elite side of that, because he's friends with Epstein, because he's in the power to release whatever he has. On this, though, he can come back to the side where he feels comfortable, where his base wants him, which is we're punching at all of the enemies of real Americans, and that includes Barack Obama and so on and so forth. So, yes, this is not going to end up with Barack Obama probably facing trial, for God's sake. I mean, you know, who knows what happens with the Justice Department, and we're in really toxic territory. I think it's important to note that as well. Nothing's going to happen legally for Barack Obama here, but Donald Trump is going to just say that, well, it's because of someone else. It's someone else's fault, as he always does, as he's done for each of the 4 investigations that you pointed out. You know, like his special counsel he appointed found nothing, and they all just move past it because it's always someone else's fault. It's not Trump's fault, and I think that's the play here.
So, Chuck, this criminal referral that Tulsi Gabbard has made to the Justice Department, is it more of a political exercise than a legal one?
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't really carry any legal weight. It doesn't bind the Department of Justice to do anything. Frankly, Chris, when you walk out of the studio this afternoon, you can make a criminal referral on me if you so choose, and it would have about as much meaning as the one that Tulsi Gabbard made. The Department of Justice, when acting normally, to Philip's point, and I've worked under Republican and Democratic presidents and Republican and Democratic attorneys general, would look at the referral, but they would make their own independent assessment, their own independent judgment of the evidence. Again, there is that pesky word. In order to charge somebody, you need a reasonable probability of conviction. In order to have a reasonable probability of conviction, you need valid and admissible evidence. And so referrals don't really mean anything, and I wouldn't give it all that much sustenance.
Michael, we heard Trump heap praise on Gabbard for her work last night, but only after those previous reports, frankly, that questioned her future in the administration. Listen to this.
Director of National Intelligence. Oh, where's Tulsi? She's like hotter than everybody. She's the hottest one in the room right now because she found out with certainty. I think we knew it before, in all fairness, Tulsi. But now you have certainty. She has all the documents. She has everything that you need. And she found out that Barack Hussein Obama led a group of people and they cheated in the elections, and they cheated without question.
But if it doesn't result in anything, and if the MAGA base gets mad again, is she just trading short-term praise for long-term problems? Because it will not be Donald Trump's fault if it doesn't come to fruition. That's for sure.
This is like that movie Idiocracy. Like, they're all just bending the knee to this guy and pretending like he knows what he's talking about. I think that this is only temporary. He'll be mad at her again this time next week, and then she'll have to lie again to make him feel better. This is no way to operate for any government, much less the U.S. government, much less the person in charge of national intelligence in this country.
Well, talking about the way to operate, Peter, this is another example of the federal government using time and taxpayer money and manpower to investigate things that have already been investigated. Is there not real stuff to focus on?
Yeah, lots of stuff to focus on, of course. But you're right. I mean, look, this has been an obsession of his for a long time. And if there had been any there, presumably they would have found it in the 4 years they had after Obama left office, and they didn't. There were critiques of how the investigation was handled in terms of using the Steele dossier in some warrants for the FISA court and so forth. Those were addressed and certainly of concern to a lot of people. But the broader conspiracy that Trump is alleging here has never had any foundation. Remember, Trump has been predicating his political career since the beginning on spreading lies about Barack Obama. This is not new. He started on the national stage, in a way, by saying that Barack Obama was not born in the United States when he knew that wasn't true. He said he sent investigators to Hawaii to find it out, which he never did. And only eventually in 2016 did he finally admit that, yes, Obama was, in fact, born in the United States. So he is willing to say and do all kinds of things. And the only person who actually tried to overturn an election in recent years, who was president of the United States, is, of course, Donald Trump in 2020, when he repeatedly pressured his own vice president, his own Justice Department, Republican governors and state legislators to overturn the certified election results that had gone against him. Nobody else has ever been, has done that. But what he's trying to do here is by clouding the water, saying, well, they tried to cheat, therefore people don't assume that he tried to cheat, or they can take their pick and say, well, our cheaters are better than their cheaters or whatever. But in fact, only one president in recent history has tried to overturn an election, no matter what he says.
From Chris Jansen's show on MSNBC, July 23rd, 2023. Okay, so that was from Chris Jansen's show on MSNBC, July 23rd, 2023. So check out that clip as well. Now, the crazy thing about all of this, and if we look here at this piece from CNN, immunity for me, not for thee. Trump's flip on prosecuting former presidents. Because remember, the Supreme Court, Donald Trump's challenge leading up to the, November 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump challenged a president has to have complete immunity against criminal prosecution, right? So the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that presidents have immunity when carrying out their duties against criminal prosecution. So that immunity would also extend to President Barack Obama against criminal prosecution. Donald Trump seems to have forgotten that, even though he claimed previously to have one of the world's greatest memories, okay? Like in the 2020 campaign cycle, okay? He claimed to have one of the world's greatest memories. Immunity for me, not for thee, Trump's flip on prosecuting former presidents, okay? This is very interesting. This is from July 23rd, 2025 by Aaron Blake. So very quickly here, as they seek to quell a race over the Jeffrey Epstein files, Donald Trump and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard have offered MAGA voters some tantalizing alternate programming. The prospect of charging Barack Obama with orchestrating a treasonous plot to undermine Trump's first presidency. Now, this is throwing red meat at his base, and we know many Trump supporters are racist, okay? This is throwing red meat at his base. The biggest problem with that is the sheer lack of evidence of any wrongdoing by Obama and any other former officials. But even if the Trump administration produced a smoking gun, they'd have to contend with the issue of immunity for former presidents. Backing up a second, the idea Tulsi Gabbard has promoted is that Obama pushed for manufactured intelligence about Russia's interference in the 2016 election to undercut Trump before he took office. The whole thing rests on a series of conflations and misleading claims. Okay. They talk about Marco Rubio, Senator Marco Rubio at the time in the major 2020 Senate report, signing off on that. And the biggest findings in that intelligence have been affirmed over and over again, including by Republicans and including by Trump's now Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. If people who said this stuff engaged in a coup, wasn't Senator Marco Rubio also complicit? Okay. But again, even if we set all that aside, there's the problem that Obama might well be immune from any such prosecution, thanks in small part to Trump himself. Okay. Trump and company spent much of 2024 arguing that presidents should be immune from virtually any criminal charges. Virtually any criminal charges. And they succeeded in large enough part at the Supreme Court that it seems unlikely their allegations, even if merited, could result in criminal prosecution of former President Barack Obama. All right. So check this out also. It's CNN's website, CNN.com. It's just widely, oh no, this is immunity for me, not for thee, Trump's flip on prosecuting former presidents. Okay. Now, this came up. This was brought up to Caroline Leavitt, the dumbest White House press secretary. And I thought you couldn't get dumber than Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Oh my God, Donald Trump scraped the bottom of the barrel for this idiot. Here's what happened when a reporter from NBC News asked her this question. Let's go to this clip here. And this is actually from Fox Live.
This current president is the one who brought the case to the Supreme Court, and Chief Justice Roberts made clear in his opinion that a sitting president's responsibilities in office cannot lead to prosecution, immunity. So what is it the President Trump wants regarding President Obama, given that fact? And the special counsel at the time, Durham, when that Supreme Court matter was not in effect, could have charged anyone and did not. So on those 2 points, how do you respond?
Look, the president has made it clear that he wanted these documents to be declassified. He wanted the American people to see the truth, and now he wants those who perpetuated these lies in this scandal to be held accountable. As for what accountability looks like, as the director said, it's in the Department of Justice's hands, and we trust them to move this ball forward.
But you would agree President Obama cannot be charged based on that immunity?
Again, I'll leave that to the Department of Justice.
Okay, Caroline Leavitt didn't want to say. I don't think they really thought this through. They're just trying to. So you see, Caroline Leavitt didn't want to say that, oh, President Barack Obama is immune from criminal prosecution, just like Donald Trump claimed he's immune from criminal prosecution. Okay, for actions taken as president. They're in deep stuff. They're in it deep, and they can't get away from this, and it's getting worse and worse day by day. All right. Okay, so check out those articles. Be sure to register for my new 10-week online history class that starts up Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. It's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Scroll down the page. So be sure to join us Saturday, August 2nd, 2025 for my new 10-week online history class, Ancient Empires, the Moors, and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. This is a 10-week online history class. It's a very visual class. We'll deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place also. So we'll deal with ancient African empires, not just ancient Kemet, but also we'll talk about Kush. We'll talk about Napata. We'll talk about Axum, Merowe, Great Zimbabwe, Ghana, Songhai, Mali. We'll talk about a number of great African empires, Carthage, where modern day Tunisia is as well, and talk about Hannibal Barca. We'll deal with ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, and we'll go throughout history. We'll look at a chronology of history and deal with the African Moors that take the teachings from the Nile Valley region of Africa into Europe. And this is going to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages as well. And then we'll deal with the origins of the transatlantic slave trade going back to the mid 1400s, okay, going back to 1441, and the Portuguese being the first ones involved, and the Spanish right behind them. And we're going to see how all of this unfolds, and how the teachings that the Moors take into Europe bring Europe out of the Dark Ages, and everything that we taught Europeans came back to kick us in the behind. We're going to see the role of the Christian church, with the Doctrine of Discovery, 1452, Pope Nicholas V, and things like the various papal bulls that sanctioned the Portuguese and the Spanish to conquer non-Christian people. So we're going to see how all this unfolds. And also we'll look at Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire, Spanish conquest of the Incas, and we look at Christopher Columbus and what Columbus conquers on his 4 voyages, because some of the areas that are in the news today, whether we talk about Haiti, whether we talk about Cuba, whether we talk about Puerto Rico, things like that, these are all islands that or nations that Christopher Columbus conquered on behalf of the Spanish. Okay. And we're going to see this fight between different European nations. We're going to see this fight between different European nations over these islands. So we see that the island of Hispaniola, where Haiti and the Dominican Republic were conquered by Christopher Columbus in the 1490s, right around 1494. But the Spanish and the French were fighting over that territory for so long that it becomes, because of a treaty between Spain and France, the western third of the island of Hispaniola becomes a French colony in 1697. And the French are going to call it Saint Dominique. And this is where the Haitian Revolution is going to take place in 1791. Okay, so we're going to go throughout history and see how all of this unfolds. This content is PG-13, so you can use this with your children as well. There's a class lesson plan that you can download also. There are 200 slides that we look at in the class. The 200 slides, there are numerous books that we reference. There are 15 books that we reference in the class. Also, we're going to update this lesson plan, but you can register for the class. You'll get 5 of my lectures in digital download format, also free. This class is on sale, $80. And we look at 80 to 100 articles. There are 15 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of these books because we show you screenshots of the book also. Okay, so this is a excellent course: African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. And I've been teaching these classes on and off since 2017. So you're going to learn a lot. This class and this iteration's first time I've taught this, because we're going to focus on African empires also. Okay, so visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Register now for it. Join us in class live Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. Okay, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is a 10-week online history course. You can also support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. So if you scroll down our website, we have the information for Cash App and PayPal. This is our Cash App, $ the AHO to it. It'll say Michael. I'll probably show my picture there. If you click here on the link, it takes you to our QR code. Okay. And there's some fake African History Network Cash App accounts out there that I'm still trying to get shut down. So that's why I had to create this graphic, because these other ones are fake. Like this one is $ the AHN SHOW. Okay, this one here is using our logo and it's $ the AHNS. These are all fake accounts. So there's about 5 fake accounts that I have identified. And here's our link for PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. All right, so visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and you can register for those classes now and support us. Okay, this helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. All right, we have to get out of here, and watch me on Fridays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I was on last Friday, and we share those clips with you here on our social media platforms. Follow me on Facebook and fan base at the African History Network. Follow me on YouTube and Instagram at Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Remember, right now, it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.